What if the greatest threat to humanity wasn't a bomb, a virus, or even an alien invasion? What if it was something far more ancient, far more insidious, lurking just beneath our feet, waiting to sprout? You've binged the show, you've battled the infected in the game, and you've probably had a nightmare or two about those terrifying fungal zombies. The Last of Us is a fun show, right? A thrilling, post-apocalyptic ride. But what if I told you that the horrifying premise of a world overrun by cordyceps isn't just science fiction? What if I told you that fungal diseases are already a massive problem, silently stalking our hospitals, preying on the vulnerable, and poised to explode with the very real, very present threat of climate change? Tonight, we're diving deep into the terrifying reality behind the fiction. We're going to uncover how a microscopic menace could bring humanity to its knees, and why The Last of Us might just be a horrifying glimpse into our not-so-distant future. Prepare yourselves, because after this, you'll never look at a mushroom the same way again. Five years have passed since the specter of COVID-19 first descended, shaking the foundations of our world. In the intervening years, a fragile sense of normalcy has returned, built upon the pillars of new vaccines, evolving therapies, and a hard-won understanding of the virus's insidious spread. Though COVID-19 remains a presence, it has for now been relegated to the realm of the manageable. Yet, the recent resurgence of avian influenza serves as a stark and chilling reminder. The abyss of a new pandemic perpetually looms. The opening of The Last of Us's first season casts a long shadow back to 1968. On a brightly lit talk show stage, two fictional researchers engage in a debate about the specter of pandemics. Dr. Neumann, with a chilling certainty, declares his unease lies not with bacteria or viruses, the conventional harbingers of widespread disease, but with something far more insidious: fungi. Their terrifying potential, he posits, lies not merely in the cessation of life, but in the grotesque usurpation of it, the chilling takeover of the host's very being. The studio audience offers a ripple of laughter, a sound that might echo our own dismissive amusement, particularly after the tumultuous years we have just navigated. Yet, the narrative swiftly pivots, casting us forward 35 years into a fictional world where Neumann's grim prophecy has become a horrifying reality. Imagine this: you move through your day, an oblivious island in a sea of unseen forces. Harmless motes, light as dust, drift through the air, settling unnoticed upon your skin, your limbs, your very being. You pay them no mind as you work, eat, sleep, the mundane rhythm of existence, but these are not mere particles of dust. These are the silent seeds of a fungal invasion, microscopic cells slipping past your body's defenses, insinuating themselves within. Unseen, unheard, these alien cells begin their gruesome feast, consuming you from within, multiplying with a relentless, silent hunger. Before the first flicker of awareness dawns, the fungus has taken root, its insidious network expanding until nearly half the very mass of your body is no longer your own. Long, unseen tendrils, the mycelium, spread like ghostly veins throughout your tissues, a silent, creeping takeover. This subterranean network begins to exude toxins, subtle at first, then gradually eroding your ability to function, to think, to be. But the horror does not end with mere decay. As the fungal threads infiltrate your muscles, they also introduce a more sinister payload, a strange chemical signal, a whisper in the delicate architecture of your brain. An alien impulse stirs within you, a primal urge to climb, devoid of reason or understanding. You are driven inexplicably to seek the highest point, an irresistible compulsion drawing you towards any towering structure you can find. With a desperate, unknowing urgency, you latch onto something firm, and then paralysis. A creeping stillness descends, locking your limbs in place as your life force ebbs away. The fungus, your silent puppeteer, now begins its final gruesome act, digesting you from the inside out, anchoring you to your elevated perch with sticky, unseen threads. And then, the ultimate violation, from your head, a grotesque stalk erupts, a fungal obelisk reaching towards the sky, showering its deadly spores onto more unsuspecting victims below. Sounds like the stuff of nightmares, a macabre tale spun from the darkest corners of science fiction? Think again. This chilling scenario is not a product of our wildest imaginings. It is a brutal reality that has played out in the shadows of the natural world for a staggering 48 million years. The disquieting roots of this fictional apocalypse are firmly planted in the tangible world in a captivating segment from the 2006 BBC series Planet Earth. There, amidst the dense tapestry of jungle life, David Attenborough and his team documented the chilling artistry of behavior manipulating fungi, most notably Ophiocordyceps, the parasitic puppeteer of carpenter ants. The clip, viewed by millions, lingers on a macabre tableau: an ant, its mandibles locked in a death grip around a tree branch, a ghostly violin underscoring the unnatural stillness. This very scene ignited the imaginations of Bruce Straley and Neil Druckmann, the driving forces behind the 2013 game The Last of Us. In a post-release interview, Druckmann readily admitted to ripping off the documentary footage, while Straley identified the zombie ants as the chilling, jumping-off point for their narrative. Disturbingly, the game hews remarkably close to its real-world inspiration. The video game offers only fragmented glimpses into the pandemic's genesis, hinting at a South American origin through scattered newspaper clippings and notes. HBO's adaptation, however, delves deeper into this chilling backstory, particularly in its second and third episodes, providing a slightly clearer and perhaps more disturbing connection to real-world plausibility. On the morning of September 23, 2003, in Jakarta, a woman working at a flour and grain factory suffers a bite from an unknown, violent individual. She in turn attacks 4 co-workers, biting 3 before being contained and ultimately killed. The 3 bitten co-workers meet a similar, swift end. Hours later, 14 other co-workers vanish without a trace. The following day, September 24, 2003, 2 police officers interrupt Ms. Ratna, a professor of mycology at the University of Indonesia, during her lunch. They escort her to a Ministry of Health laboratory, where, peering through a microscope, she identifies the culprit, Ophiocordyceps. Her examination of the deceased factory worker's body reveals a horrifying truth. Within the bite wound on the woman's leg, and disturbingly within her mouth, the corpse has been colonized by Ophiocordyceps. Her discovery leads to a chillingly pragmatic recommendation: the city must be bombed, every life within extinguished. By September 26, 2003, the outbreak reaches the United States, a day that will forever be known as Outbreak Day. In Austin, Texas, the first tendrils of chaos manifest around 3:15 p.m., marked by the frantic wail of ambulance sirens. Ratna's grim prognosis proves tragically accurate. By the third episode, the horrifying vector of the fungus's rapid global spread is revealed. It infiltrated the food supply. In the early hours of September 27th, the outbreak reaches critical mass, plunging the streets into pandemonium. Planes plummet from the sky. Highways leading out of Austin become choked with military blockades as the populace, defying emergency broadcasts, attempts to flee. By Monday, September 29th, the world as they knew it has vanished, as Joel somberly explains to Ellie. Everything was gone. In our own reality, scientists have long pondered the heightened susceptibility of insects, plants, and amphibians to fungal diseases. Research has illuminated a crucial defense mechanism: homeothermy, the regulation of internal body temperature. Fungi in general thrive in cooler environments, rendering them formidable adversaries to cold-blooded creatures. This thermal barrier has historically offered warm-blooded animals, including ourselves, a significant degree of protection. Furthermore, fungi face the formidable challenge of penetrating and absorbing human tissue, a task they mostly struggle with, and even if successful, they must contend with a robust and intricate immune system. Yet the threat is not entirely absent. Humans can be infected by fungi. The emergence of multi-drug resistant Candida auris poses a significant concern within hospital settings. Common molds also breach our defenses, causing ailments like athlete's foot and ringworm. These incursions often target individuals with compromised immune systems. However, the landscape is shifting. The world, both our own and the ravaged one depicted in The Last of Us, is experiencing a warming trend. What if, for instance, the world were to get slightly warmer? The fictional Dr. Neumann chillingly inquires in the premiere. Rising global temperatures could exert a selective pressure, compelling fungi to slowly adapt and evolve. developing the capacity to withstand the thermal conditions they might encounter within a human body. Some scientists posit that this very phenomenon may be contributing to the observed rise in Candida infections. But the question that chills the blood remains: how could a fungus like Cordyceps achieve such rapid and widespread transmission? The HBO adaptation of The Last of Us introduces a significant divergence from the game's established horror. The airborne dissemination of Cordyceps spores is gone. Well, at least in the first season anyway. The creators have cited practical reasons, the perpetual necessity of masks rendering the visual narrative cumbersome. Instead, the contagion now spreads through the chilling intimacy of tendrils and the brutal violation of bites from the infected, vectors unseen in the fungal threats of our own world. This necessitates a proximity-based terror, a stark contrast to the potentially boundless reach of microscopic spores. This alteration presents a formidable narrative hurdle. How did civilization collapse so swiftly without the insidious reach of airborne spores? The Last of Us attempts to bridge this gap with a disquieting explanation, one whispered early in the series as Joel and Ellie navigate the skeletal remains of a fallen world. Cordyceps, Joel murmurs, mutated. Then, the insidious fungi infiltrated the very fabric of our sustenance: bread, sugar, cereal, staples that crisscross the globe, carrying the mutated strain to every corner of human habitation. History offers a chilling echo of this scenario. The Great Famine, a devastating blight that gripped Ireland in the mid-19th century, was wrought by an organism akin to a fungus, Phytophthora infestans, which decimated potato crops. While it did not directly zombify its human victims, it starkly illustrates our vulnerability to fungal-like organisms in ways that often escape our conscious awareness. A deeply unsettling aspect of The Last of Us's fungal pandemic lies in the apparent longevity of certain infected forms. Let us turn our gaze to the clickers, those horrifying echolocating creatures that first stalk our nightmares in the second episode. These grotesque beings are typically found lurking in the damp, lightless recesses of abandoned buildings, sewers, and basements. In the game's logic, this preference for darkness is rooted in the idea that sunlight and airflow inhibit the conditions necessary for spore-based infection to reach the advanced clicker stage. The clicker's skull is a grotesque testament to the fungus's dominion, utterly consumed by Ophiocordyceps to the point of complete blindness. Ellie's apt analogy to bats highlights their reliance on blood-curdling clicks for navigation, an eerie substitute for sight. Beyond the immediate visceral horror of the infected, a more insidious threat looms: the vulnerability of our global food supply. Virtually every major crop upon which humanity depends, rice, wheat, maize, is susceptible to fungal pathogens. Should a fungal pandemic ravage these essential calorie sources, the consequences, while perhaps lacking the bite and mind control of The Last of Us's zombies, could be devastating in a different, equally terrifying way. Compounding this concern is the alarming rise of fungi exhibiting resistance to our current arsenal of antifungal drugs. A 2018 study in Science revealed that crop-destroying fungi account for a staggering 1/5 of perennial yield losses. The authors grimly warn that, to avoid a global collapse in our ability to control fungal infections, we must urgently invest in the discovery of new antifungal agents and ensure our current agricultural practices do not inadvertently breed even more resilient and dangerous strains. Finally, consider the chilling specter of a dual pandemic, one that weakens human immunity to such an extent that normally opportunistic fungi gain a deadly foothold. The recent COVID-19 pandemic offered a stark glimpse into this potential reality. During its height, patients suffering from severe COVID-19 were sometimes afflicted by opportunistic fungal infections, most notably mucormycosis, the terrifying black fungus. A 2022 study spanning 18 countries highlighted this understudied and poorly understood complication, noting its disproportionate impact on males and individuals with underlying conditions like diabetes, which can compromise the immune system. While Cordyceps' transformation of humanity into mind-controlled hordes remains a terrifying, yet likely exaggerated, apocalypse scenario, the underlying threat of fungal pathogens is far from fictional. The enemy is out there, unseen, adapting, and our preparedness remains woefully inadequate. The spores may not be airborne in The Last of Us, but the silent, insidious creep of fungal dominion is a danger we can ill afford to ignore.